to think about the fact that someone has paid their dues, done their time, they come home ready to be different, ready to start a life with themselves, with their families, and there's just barrier after barrier to allow them to have the same fair chance at a fresh start.
Some cases they'll come out of prison with fines and fees, et cetera, in the thousands and thousands of dollars. They may come out of prison with debt that they didn't even realize they had.
I was a criminal justice professional. I worked in the criminal justice system for 20 years, and I had no idea about all of these legally imposed, mandatorily imposed fees and fines and costs that are imposed on our men and women returning from prison. It's crazy as a matter of policy. I went to a local business in Charlottesville. There was a man who I had prosecuted as a criminal defendant some years before. We just sat and talked for about 45 minutes. He identified this issue of debt, and that got me thinking that we should do something. We, the community, should do something about that. If there was an organization that provided access to capital to people that cannot get it through the traditional banking system, that it might really launch their energy and their productivity and help them be successful. There was an iterative discussion about whether this should be a loan program or this should be a grant program. And the consensus was that we're not just giving access to capital, we're teaching people the life skill of managing conflicting obligations.
My role is to work with people who have very little experience with economic opportunity, and to work with those people and give them the power to take advantage of that and to grow into their best self. We primarily do 3 types of loans. We do consumer loans, which are up to $5,000. Then we also have vehicle loans, and we finance vehicles up to $12,000. But the third type of loan is our business loans, and those are up to $15,000. Our interest rates are wonderful. It's 5% if you pay directly with either a check or a money order. It's 3% if you use the bank debit, or what we call ACH payments. So then in some cases where we've helped somebody, they've come to us and they've got a car, some car dealership that they're financing, and the interest rate's 28%. So they come to us and we can drop that to 3%. They're saving thousands of dollars a year in their loan, and that happens frequently.
I have a sense of what a good, healthy, high-functioning organization looks like in terms of creating a solid foundation of, a board team, a staff team, focused on a mission with a plan, with enough resources to achieve that plan. And that's really important when you're just getting started, is to really make sure that that foundation is there and you've got something solid to grow from.
It's been important to us as we have grown that we incorporate the perspective of our client partners in that growth. And not just in conceptual growth, but in the actual delivery of service to new client partners. Right? We have 3 full-time staffers in Charlottesville, one of whom is one of our first loan recipients. His name is Martez Tolbert.
It was the first time somebody said yes to me. It was the first time that somebody, extended their hand and hugged to me. So I felt like it was more than just an organization that supported me. I felt like it was a part of a family. So I knew right away that this is something that I wanted to foster. And I did. I said, listen, I want to help the organization. There's a lot more guys and women just like myself that's coming out, some that's already out, and they need the support.
I just couldn't believe like an organization would do that, right? It is atypical, right? But I was excited about that. It is something that was tugging at my heart. The moment we had that discussion and conversation, they were asking me to come on board.
The staff do a lot of work besides just the loan. ways of addressing trauma, because it is traumatizing to have been in prison. And sometimes it's a family, it goes back generations, right? And so to get back on their feet and show that they can do it is a very positive thing. And so that helps dilute the trauma, perhaps is a word, but I would never want to underestimate what people must go through.
We're impacting the lives of some people here, right? And sometimes it's very critical. You know, something as simple and to some which may be insignificant, like a driver's license, is super significant to our client partners, right? And so it allows them to get around and to go and find employment and stay employed to support their families.
What we're doing resonates with people for a lot of different types of reasons, but the fact that also it reinvests, it's the gift that keeps giving, quite literally. So, you know, we've given out over $1 million in loans, and already $500,000 of that has been recycled and is going back out. So, so that's, I think, very compelling.
Once we say yes to them, and we say, I believe in you, I trust you, I'm going to do this with you, not for you, but with you. Once we do that, you can see an immediate change in the look on their face of the spirit, their step. They got a step, kind of kick in their step, and a whole attitude. And very often they'll bring in their wife or their kids, bring in with them when they do the closing.
You have a lot of great people that wants to show what they can do. They just don't have the one that believe in their vision or believe in them because of what they did 5, 10 years ago in life. The money is just an added bonus, really, to allow us to get all the necessities we need to show our greatness.
The Fountain Fund has done so much for me. I was in panic mode, in pure panic mode. I cannot express my gratitude to them. The initial meeting with Martez and the Fountain Fund was about paying off my probation fines so I could get off probation and not get violated and go back to prison. And when I talked to him, you know, he, you know, calmed me down, related to me, you know, let me know where he's been, and, you know, I mean, just how cool they are, and just like family, immediately family. And I, you know, was open and honest about everything. And, you know, he's like, we're gonna figure this out, and, you know, communicated all the time.
We don't try to change them. We don't try to make them be any differently than who they are. Let us know who you are, and we're gonna be there to support you. And I think that's the spirit of here at the Fountain Fund. It's just authentic.
I know I'm just not paying some bank back or some individual person. I'm paying back a group of people that, to me, feel like family. You know, I feel like I have an obligation as a good person to do the right thing, to make sure I pay them so that they can continue helping me and other people. You know, for me being here, I'm not just here for a paycheck. I love this environment, and I love where I work now. And this place is very good for my attitude and my character. I have people around me that are very positive and help keep me in check when my character or my attitude isn't right. And that's huge for me, because it's very easy for me to get a bad attitude and get discouraged, dissatisfied, displeased, all of the negativity. And with people like Martez, that just ain't happening. He keeps you on the up and up, and you gotta stay positive, and you don't wanna hear none of that. And stuff like that's good for me.
It's not about individuals coming to see me and they're getting a check. I mean, anybody can do that. A banker or any lender can do that. But what we do is financial support, community support, and resource support.
GSD is the motto that Martez and I have developed for how we work in the Fountain Fund. And it stands for Get Shit Done. People's issues and problems don't have time frames, and they don't have a 9 to 5, you know, Monday through Friday, and because of the type of clients we're working with. I get calls all weekend, and I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. If I can be there, then the objective is If that's when I can get shit done, that's what we'll do.
We made a decision early on to focus on the access to capital and credit building because no one else was doing it. But that's not to diminish the need for housing and a sustainable wage job and healthcare resources. And so we've made sure to have not just places we can make referrals to, but actual partners in the work so that we're making handoff to somebody that we know and not just saying, call this person.
We are a job placement program, but what makes us a little different than the other job placement agencies is that we also provide resources and supported financial resources for our job seekers. To be within the Fountain Fund, you have to have some income coming in. And there are people who show up on the Fountain Fund door needing their resources but doesn't have the job. So that's when the Fountain Fund trusts network to work in our processes to find them the job that can pay the wage. Once we get them in the place of self-sufficient and being full-time employed, we refer them back to Fountain Fund where they could, start over and get that initial resource that they initially went to Fountain Fund for. We do have some clients that may not be ready for work right now. He may have some clients that may not be ready for work right now. But we have that understanding that one day we will see you again when you're ready. And that's one thing that I do appreciate with the Fountain Fund, that we understand that we receive these job seekers when they are ready. And it has to be when they are ready.
Traditional lending institutions can learn a thing or two from what it is that we're doing. But we don't think ourselves to be so super unique as to say no, that there's no one else like us, right? There are others. I mean, surely we cannot be the only ones who want to do this kind of work.
Part of how we are growing the numbers is through expansion into other areas, and that's not because it's not to hit a target number that we feel like we can't hit here. It's because when you see what it's doing for the people that we're working with, you want that to be available in other places.
We sat and did this whole debate back and forth. I sat there and said, why are we doing this? We know what the answer is. The simplest way to do it is the partnership model. So you already have a version of Martez already there, doing the community, the community contacts and community relations. So they're already there. They have the street creds. So you're really just building on what they have. And what they're lacking is this financial literacy side and the lending side, which would be a huge addition to what they're doing.
We figured some things out. We've learned how to do this. We need partners. We need funders. We know we need people that, like Paul and Martez and Erica, that actually are going to be the ones implementing our process. All of those elements are present everywhere. We just need to get to them. I'm anxious. By 2025, we ought to be in a dozen more sites. That's my vision.
I think the thing that's unique about the Fountain Fund is our heart. We come to every day with a heart and a commitment to love, to help people, to challenge ourselves, and to get better every day. We do something every day, Martez and I call it check on and love on. And we sometimes will call our client partners, and the whole purpose is just to check on and love on. Let them know that there's somebody who cares about them, who's thinking about them. And I'm not calling to say to you, oh, your payment is late, or just pat you on the back about your payment being made. We may call and say, hey, I haven't talked to you for, in 6 weeks or so. Just calling to check on, love on. Tell me what's going on, anything. Tell me what's going on in your life. And they talk about their kids and their wives and their job. And then, we may spend an hour or so, checking on and loving on folks. And that's what makes a difference. We are not some transactional organization that's trying to make certain goals and certain percentages. We're trying to move people's lives forward and to be there for them.
We hear all the time that, the United States is a place of second chances, and you don't really get it. You don't see it. You don't get offered it. But with the Fountain Fund, to know that you were specifically designed for persons like me, who's never been given a second chance, is really amazing, because had I not had that experience or went through this program, I probably would have been that college dropout. I probably would not have the success I have today. And Fountain Fund was a part of that milestone to get me to where it is I am now and where I'm going to continue to go.